I'm Congressmember Laura Friedman, and I'm very grateful to be standing here with the Writers Guild of America, with IATSE, who represents our TV and film and stage crews, with the Teamsters, with the Directors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, and the American Federation of Musicians. So thank you all for joining us. We're also joined by SAG member and U.S. veteran Shannon Corbell, who sacrificed to defend the freedoms that we're privileged to enjoy. And I want to thank you, Shannon, especially for your service and for joining us today. We're gathered in my district here in the heart of Hollywood, but to be clear, this press conference is not about celebrities, it's not about television or comedy, it's not about Hollywood. It's about the United States Constitution and the rights that we all care about. Our First Amendment, our right to free speech, is under attack. So let us call this what it is. It is an attempt at blatant government censorship. Donald Trump said, maybe their licenses should be taken away. He's talking about broadcast networks, and he's not talking about taking away anyone's license because of profanity or threats of violence. It's because of political speech that he doesn't like. The FCC chair, Carr, threatened, take action on Kimmel or there's going to be additional work for the FCC. You can't get much more blatant of a threat than that. Now, that is not regulation. It's an attack on our Constitution from the highest government officials. It's beyond clear that it's illegal for the FCC to act this way. Just last year in NRA versus Vulo, in a 9-0 decision, the United States Supreme Court reinforced, they wrote, quote, government officials cannot attempt to coerce private parties in order to punish or suppress views that the government disfavors. End stop. That the government disfavors. That case happened to be in favor of a conservative group. But the reason that this should concern all Americans is that this administration's actions could threaten speech from both conservatives and liberals. This cuts all ways. In fact, even Senator Ted Cruz, an official who I agree with very infrequently, recently said that what Trump's FCC did was, quote, incredibly dangerous. And he said that the Carr quote, sounded like a mafia boss. So again, this is not a partisan issue, it is an American issue. Free speech is not a suggestion or a footnote. It's the very First Amendment of the Constitution. U.S. Constitution. Put first because the Founding Fathers in their wisdom understood just how important it was in a democracy to have free speech. This was the government that they envisioned and that we have kept healthy for almost 250 years. It's clear that Trump's allies think the First Amendment comes with an asterisk. They think that it means you get free speech as long as Donald Trump likes it. But he does not get to silence dissent. He does not get to tell the American people what to say or what they can and cannot listen to. Donald Trump does not get to trample on the Constitution to protect his ego. When Kimmel's show was pulled, it wasn't just his voice that got shut down, and we're going to hear from unions who are telling you that it's the work of hundreds of employees and workers, writers, actors, crew members, who all got the axe because of Donald Trump's thin skin. This is not just about a late-night show. It's about jobs, and it's about our rights as Americans. Now, the FCC's job is to protect Americans, not the president's ego. And I would remind every corporation in America and that many of their business models cannot survive in a world where the government gets to tell them what to say. Yeah. As we all know, if everyone remembers back to their school days, if you give a bully your lunch money, they just come back the next day and demand it again. There's a time when we all have to stand up and say no, and that includes the people who run broadcast networks and other companies. It's time for everyone, all of us, to stand up for the Constitution. The First Amendment protects all of us, and we must all protect it. We are all here to say, you do not get to cancel the United States Constitution, not today, not tomorrow, not on our watch. So we have a lot of people who are going to be speaking today. Hopefully they'll be even more brief than I was. First, I want to bring up the chair of the Congressional Creative Rights Caucus, the co-chair, Representative Judy Chu.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu from the Pasadena area, and I'm co-chair of the Congressional Creative Rights Caucus, which works to protect our precious film, television, and music industries. And I'm here to say no to Trump's authoritarian crackdown on our right to free speech. Now let's be perfectly clear here. First, Trump wrote more than 2 months ago that Jimmy Kimmel's show should be canceled. Then, last week, Trump's FCC chair said that companies should take action on Kimmel, even saying that they could either do it the easy way or the hard way. And the companies got the message. ABC's largest distributor, which needs the FCC's approval for a $6 billion merger, immediately followed his orders and preempted the show, and ABC took it off the air indefinitely. So this was not about comments that a comedian made about Charlie Kirk. This is about a president leveraging the power of the federal government to silence his critics, a plan he's been open about for months. And now he's saying that the FCC should go further and cancel the broadcasting licenses of networks that criticize him. Well, are we going to be bullied like that? No! Are we going to be silenced? No! This is the playbook of authoritarians, and every single one of us has a responsibility to stand up for our constitutional rights that are under attack. And this doesn't just fall on the shoulders of workers. We need corporations and their executives to start standing up to this coercion. And that can start with Disney and ABC reinstating this show and making it clear the President of the United States does not control what information Americans are allowed to see. So thank you for being here. Thank you especially to Congressmember Laura Friedman for bringing us together. And we will not stop protecting our right to free speech.
And you see that even now, there's people who want to drown out our voices. We're not going to let that happen. Next, I would like to bring up Congressmember Brad Sherman.
Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks. I represent for many years the San Fernando Valley and many of the people who will lose their jobs as a result of this ill-timed and ill-considered corporate action. I want to thank Laura Friedman for bringing us all together in her district. First of all, what Jimmy Kimmel said in no way criticized Charlie Kirk. He made a statement about Charlie Kirk's assassin, which that's hardly making fun of someone who was assassinated. Maybe it was a funny joke, maybe it wasn't, but it wasn't about Kirk. So then we have Commissioner Brendan Carr tell those with multi-billion-dollar mergers pending, dependent upon him for a discretionary decision, that they can do things the easy way or the hard way. Language straight out of the mafia. At least when the mafia says it, they say it quietly. They don't dare put it on national television. But this mafia administration is so bold, they will use the language of the mafia in plain sight. But what this administration is doing, what Brendan Carr and Donald Trump is doing, is to besmirch the memory and undermine the work of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said just earlier this year, you should be allowed to say outrageous things. There is ugly speech, there is gross speech, there is evil speech, and it is all protected by the First Amendment. So Jimmy Kimmel did not contradict the work of Jimmy Kimmel did not contradict the work of Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump did, and his FCC chairman did. Now, the First Amendment deals with what we do as a government, and the government shouldn't be interfering. But we are also private citizens, and I, for one, will be looking at who's advertising on ABC from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. And speaking just for my own family, if we see Jimmy Kimmel, we're going to watch those ads very carefully. And if we see alternative protesting programming, we will be boycotting those who buy the time that should be for the Jimmy Kimmel Show. I'm Brad Sherman, and
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to bring up Congressmember Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Congresswoman Laura Friedman, for organizing this important press conference. I can sum up in one word why we are all here today: freedom. Freedom is an animating principle of America, and that includes the freedom to speak your mind freely without coercion or intimidation from the government. And it's not only a principle, it is the frickin' law. Last year, the Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision that government officials cannot coerce third parties to punish or suppress views that government officials disfavor. And my message to ABC is very simple. You do not yield. Reinstate the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. Because what happens when you yield? The bully comes after you again. And now the FCC chair, Brennan Carr, is threatening ABC because he doesn't like political statements made on the ABC show The View. When is this going to stop? ABC, you have a choice. You can continue to be bullied, or you can stand up for yourself, stand up for the First Amendment, and invoke the protections of the First Amendment, an amendment that generations of Americans have given the blood, sweat, and tears to defend. And if you do that, we will be with you, because we will not yield. We will continue to speak truth to power. I get to say things like Donald Trump is covering up the Epstein files because he is all over the Epstein files. That White House boarders or Tom Homan should be prosecuted for accepting $50,000 in a bag of cash and a bribe from undercover FBI agents. And that FCC chair, Brennan Carr, is a radical extremist abusing his authority. I and other Americans can speak our minds freely because we have the protections of the First Amendment, and ABC, so do you. Invoke the First Amendment, reinstate the Jimmy Kimmel Show, sue the FCC, and you will win.
Next, we have Representative Nanette Barragan.
Good morning. I'm Congressmember Nanette Barragan. I represent California's 44th District. I also serve on the Committee for Energy and Commerce that oversees telecom, that oversees everything FCC. And we had a hearing this week, and House Democrats brought up what the FCC chairman did in threatening to go after folks whose speech he really didn't agree with. And you know what Republicans said and did there? They basically shrugged it off like it was no big deal, like it was totally permissible. We didn't hear from them saying this is unacceptable. As a matter of fact, we asked for an oversight hearing, and they have refused to provide one. I want to thank Representative Laura Friedman for bringing us here today. Today is about fighting for and protecting free speech. It's about the freedom of speech. Yes, we know that Jimmy Kimmel expressed his opinion just like he does every night on his show. And the president didn't like it and decided that he was going to do something about it and say something. That is not how America works. That is a dictatorship. That is against the principles of America and free speech that we have long valued in this country. It's time to stand up. It's time for everybody to stand up. Yeah, we are hearing a lot of silence on the other side of the aisle. And Trump has insinuated that there should be other late-night hosts that should be removed as well. But protecting our fundamental right to freedom of speech doesn't mean just protecting the speech that you like. This is a grave threat, not just to the host. This is a grave threat to artists, to writers, to producers, and the entire entertainment industry. If the president and his cronies can decide what content is allowed and who is allowed to say it. In Los Angeles, we know that the impacts are felt well beyond the person in front of the camera. The production crews and the whole support staff are an ecosystem. They all feel the pain. Jobs are lost. Paychecks not coming in. It becomes a struggle for so many to provide for their families just because Trump doesn't like what one person says. Make no mistake, though, this isn't about one person. This is an attempt to intimidate and to bully and silence anyone who would speak out against the president and his administration. If we want to express a different opinion from the president, we have that right. We should continue to have that right. And if we want to criticize the government for its actions, we have that right. If we want to express those opinions in our homes, in public, or even on national TV, we need to continue to protect that right. So I want to thank our colleagues and our Hollywood unions that are here today. We stand united with all of you to fight like hell to protect our fundamental rights and our entertainment industry here in Los Angeles. We will not bend the knee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And our last member of Congress, before we turn to two local officials, and then we're going to hear directly from our union representatives, is Representative Gil Cisneros.
Thank you, Representative Laura Friedman. I'm Representative Gil Cisneros. I represent the 31st Congressional District here in California in the San Gabriel Valley. Proud to be here today with so many of my colleagues. Proud to be here with the Writers Guild of America, the Teamsters, the American Federation of Musicians, the Screen Actors Guild, IATSE, and all of you here today. We're out here today to stand up for Jimmy Kimmel. Today we're putting our foot down on the Trump administration's unmistakable breach of the First Amendment. Free speech is a cornerstone of our democracy, and we will not remain complacent with the president attempts to muzzle anyone who even slightly criticizes him. The message that Trump is sending is very clear. If you don't agree with him, if you are critical of him, or if he just doesn't like you, he's going to come after you. But the last I checked, we're still living in the United States of America, and we don't silence voices of dissent. We don't use, or we shouldn't be using our government to exert control over the speech of the people. We don't send our FCC chairman to shut down the TV show just because the president doesn't like him, doesn't like the host. We cannot let our nation and all the ideas it was founded on slip away from us. If you are in the business of communicating with your voice or your pen, now is the time to stand up and fight for the First Amendment. Do you hear that, Bob Iger? And whether I disagree with you or you disagree with me, I will always fight to protect your voice and your speech, because this is still America, and it is our right to free speech that is the hallmark of our nation. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you. Next up for a few brief words, we have LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Thank you to Congressmember Friedman, the Congress members and labor leaders who are standing here strong, because we are not going back. And thank you to every worker, to every artist, every Angelino who refuses to be silenced, because we are not going back. Hollywood is a symbol of creativity, of courage, of the fundamental right to free expression. And when that symbol is attacked, when voices like Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and others who have been pushed off the air through FCC intimidation, through political threats or network capitulation, it doesn't just threaten them, it threatens all of us. So to the FCC chairman, to Sinclair Media, we have a message for you. Our democracy is not for sale. It belongs to the people, and the people are standing right here refusing to be silenced. And I want to be very clear, this fight is not about one talk show or one network. This is about every single worker, every artist, every union member, every voice that deserves to be heard without bowing to the Trump administration. We know their playbook, whether it was the McCarthy era in this country or autocrats around the globe. They think fear will silence us. But we are here on Hollywood Boulevard in one of the most iconic American sites of entertainment, of free speech and democracy, and we are not going back. We will not go quietly into the night. We are even more emboldened to be here, to use our voices, for they are our power. Our voices are so mighty, they strike fear into the hearts of the people occupying our White House. What a disgrace to our founding fathers who used their voices to dissent, to oppose the ruling class, to seek freedom and opportunity for those who were silenced. As an American, as an Angelino, and as a humble public servant, I will continue to use my voice. I will continue to call out those who abuse power and instead uplift those who feel their voices don't matter. Today we are reminded how powerful an individual voice can be. So powerful that it lives rent-free in the mind of our president. We cannot succumb to politics of fear. We must stand strong and resolute, even if our voices are shaking and courage is the only armor we have. Because it is courage, not fear, what LA County is bringing today and every day. And right here in Hollywood, we are not backing down because we know when we fight, we win!
Thank you, Supervisor. And our last elected to speak before our unions will be LA Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for bringing us here today, and thank you for all the unions that are out here, because leave no doubt, LA is a union town, and we will stand with our working class brothers and sisters and siblings to fight against this totalitarian regime. My name is Hugo Soto Martinez, the council member for the 13th District here in Los Angeles, and I'm proud to represent Hollywood, the foundation of our district, internationally known, and it's the birthplace of artists, workers, creatives, and so much more. And we're not only just fighting for our democracy and our right to free speech, but we are here to stand with our siblings from the labor movement that are their 200 jobs hang in the balance thanks to this blatant government censorship. Because we know that when the government can control where people work and what they say, there is nothing that they can't do, and we will not allow it. Weak men will try to silence us because they know that they will never have as much power as the people. It is the people that have the power, and especially here in the City of Angels. In the City of Angels, we have worked really hard to uplift workers, immigrants, and support the Hollywood industry. And we will not allow ourselves to be steamrolled by this weak person in the White House. Because I'm sure everyone here agrees, LA is a union town, and we will flex our worker power to make sure we fight for everyone's free speech. Because when we come together, workers, artists, neighbors, our collective power is stronger than their fear, and together we will fight, because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to bring up the President of the Writers Guild of America, Meredith Stein.
My name is Meredith Steam. I'm a television writer and president of the Writers Guild of America West. First, thank you to Representative Laura Friedman for inviting writers here today. Thank you, writers, for showing up. You always do. As well as Representatives Liu, Chu, Barragan, Cisneros, and Sherman for taking a stand on this vital issue. I am here on behalf of the 12,000 union members who write Hollywood TV shows and movies to express our opposition and outrage at Disney and ABC for suspending Jimmy Kimmel Live. This cowardice has not only put the livelihoods of 20 writers, their crew members, and performers in limbo, it has put our industry and our democracy in danger. This is about the First Amendment, not just Hollywood. Our democracy depends more than anything else on our rights to speak freely, without retaliation from the government, especially when that speech challenges those in power. Yet this president and his administration seek to silence those who criticize, satirize, or speak truth to those in power. FCC Chair Brendan Carr and President Trump have made open threats to censor creatives. In fact, explicitly naming 2 more WGA members who they've targeted, Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon. This is an authoritarian, illegal overreach that we all must unite to oppose. Artists are already very concerned about our consolidated media ecosystem, the small and shrinking number of gatekeepers who control what Americans watch on TV. And these conglomerates are now being coerced into censoring us all by an administration that demands submission and obedience from what should be a free and independent media. The leadership of the Writers Guild of America calls upon the leadership of Disney and ABC, Bob Iger, Dana Walden, to join us in our unity against censorship. Use your power and partner with us to reject authoritarianism. Be courageous and protect your writers, your shows, your freedoms. Stand up to this administration and bring back Jimmy Kimmel Live. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. And now representing the American Federation of Musicians, President Stephanie O'Keefe.
Thank you very much. My name is Stephanie O'Keefe, and I serve as the president of American Federation of Musicians Local 47 here in Los Angeles. I am so proud to stand before you with my fellow union leaders and together with such tremendous champions for working musicians. Representatives Friedman, Chu, Barragan, Sherman, Liu, and Cisneros, thank you for your leadership and for always fighting on behalf of all artists and arts workers. Among the many talented members of AFM Local 47 are the incredible musicians who make up Cleto and the Cletones and the many other musicians who appear on Jimmy Kimmel Live on a regular basis. We need music now more than ever. Musicians inspire. They lift our spirits. They make us sing, dance, laugh, and cry. But there will be less music on ABC tonight for one simple reason. Instead of working in the public interest, the FCC serves only one person, Donald Trump. We must exercise our First Amendment rights by speaking directly to our government and the corporate entities that allowed this violation of the First Amendment to happen. My grandparents came to this country. You'll never drown the voices in my family out. My grandparents came to this country because of the promises of freedom of speech and expression. It is my honor to continue to fight alongside each one of you to preserve their dream. We must put an end to the corporate consolidation on television and radio that threatens our ability to make a living. We must stop the violation of rights in Los Angeles and across the country. And together, I know we can defeat those who wish to silence us. Thank you.
Thank you. Now representing the Directors Guild, we have National Executive Director Russell Hollander.
Hi, I'm Todd Holland. I'm First Vice President of the Directors Guild. Russ was unable to be here today. I want to thank Representative Friedman for convening us today, and thank Representatives Barragan, Chu, Cisneros, Liu, and Sherman for being here in support of all our members. Thank you. The DGA was founded 90 years ago to ensure that directors could work and create protected from outside interference. While our membership has grown and the work we cover has become broader over time, that founding principle has remained at the heart of who we are. The suspension of Jimmy Kimmel is just one of a growing and alarming list of examples of companies capitulating to government pressure to censor creative expression and suppress speech that is critical of the current administration. This trend is dangerous, it is harmful, it is wrong. The suspension happened because the government was upset with a single sentence in a talk show monologue, and their reaction put hundreds of hardworking union members out of work. And this kind of action has a chilling effect. How can any artist, a director, writer, actor, songwriter create art or entertainment while under threat that anything they create might offend someone in the administration? But of course, that's the point of oppression. But this is not just about the government. When one of the most powerful global media corporations capitulates to government-led censorship, we should all fear for the future of our industry and our country. Every studio needs to stand up and protect their workers and the art and entertainment we create for them. We know there's a cost. But this is a fight for our founding American principle. This fight is bigger than any one company, union, show, or talk show host. It cuts across all of the areas in which every one of our union members work. This is about the foundation of our industry and our nation. Hollywood has the power to inspire and to lead, and history is rife with examples of what happens when appeasement for the sake of profit is chosen over principle. We cannot make that mistake again. Thank you.
Well said. And now representing thousands of crew members all across the country, Tom Davis representing IATSE.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tom Davis. I'm president of the California IATSE Council and vice president of the International IATSE Emeritus. I'm here to speak about the 100 members of the IATSE who find themselves thrown out of work for no fault of their own. I'm here to speak out against the abuse that has impacted the lives of the crew members who have now lost their jobs because Disney bowed to the pressures of government censorship. Disney cowered and bent to Nexstar, who is seeking approval for additional accusations with the FCC, and said it would not air the Jimmy Kimmel show. This brings additional questions. Who contacted who first? Did Brendan Carr call? We don't know. Or did Nexstar just figure out that it would be bad for business to allow Kimmel to continue? For almost 100 of these employees, though, it really doesn't matter. All the camera crew knows is that they are now unemployed. For the grips, the makeup artists, hairstylists, lighting technicians, editors, property persons, art department and wardrobe workers, as well as many more, they are now forced to grapple with the reality that they have been caught up in the made-up culture wars and have nothing of their own making. On behalf of the workers, we demand that Disney do the right, noble, and courageous thing, bring Jimmy Kimmel back now. To Nexstar, we urge you to focus on your business and not others' politics. In short, do what is right for these hardworking Americans and bring them back to work. Thank you.
And our last speaker this morning, before we turn to questions, is someone who literally put their life on the line to defend the United States Constitution, Air Force veteran Shannon Corbeil.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Corbeil, and I served as an intelligence officer in the United States Air Force. I was stationed in South Korea and at the National Security Agency with mission sets that included defense from countries like North Korea, China, and Russia, countries with frighteningly different governments than our own. Since 1973, with the end of the draft, our military service members volunteer for duty. But whether officer or enlisted, we must, every single one of us, swear an oath, not to the president, not to the government, not to the flag, but to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies. All enemies, foreign and domestic. Our military is the strongest fighting force in the world because we, the people, have invested in that outcome. But last week, it became very clear why foreign and domestic was language written into my oath of office. And now I see we must stand together, invested in our own civil liberties as Americans, because otherwise, what are we defending? I don't know about you, but I don't want my FCC chairman acting like Tony Soprano. I believe his comments were inappropriate and harmful to an open and vibrant democracy. In fact, those kinds of intimidation tactics from political officials should set us apart from our adversaries across the globe. That is the kind of stuff they do in North Korea and Russia. Given recent events, we would be arrogant to think it couldn't happen to us here. I've seen firsthand what totalitarianism does. Our First Amendment rights to free speech, to free press, to gather like we're gathering today, they are precious. They're what our fellow Americans have died to protect. We must never take them for granted, and we must hold the line now. Every single one of us has a responsibility to rise up, to vote in presidential elections as well as local and midterm elections, and to hold our elected government officials accountable to the oaths they swore when they took office. I know a lot of people are exhausted. I'm an actor. I'm a proud SAG-AFTRA union member. I personally just want to be in Andor, not living in Andor. But I'll say this. It is our enduring duty as Americans to uphold our right to free speech, not just for Jimmy Kimmel and the hundreds of people who work for him, but for the preservation of our Constitution that we all must hold dear. Thank you.
Every elected official you see up here swore an oath on the U.S. Constitution. Donald Trump swore an oath on the U.S. Constitution. I would ask him, respectively, to go back and read that oath and understand it and defend the U.S. Constitution. That's why we are all here today. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us and see if anyone has any questions. Any questions from the press for any of us? Okay. If not, thank you all for being here. Oh, wait, was there one? Sorry. Yes. The actual plan is that Democrats are demanding that we see any communications between Carr, the FCC chair, and the Trump administration. We want to know what was communicated at the highest levels to the FCC chair that caused him now to threaten a broadcaster. We want to have hearings. We want to understand the decision that was made, whether they pulled the Jimmy Kimmel show because they were afraid that their merger wouldn't be approved. These are questions that the American public wants answered. What was the causality